let's just get started. But first, I'd just like to tell you how glad we are to have Kathleen. And it turned out, the reason that we got together was we both went to Brandywine High School in Wilmington, so that was one connection we had. And then of course she lives on the same street that I do, which is right over here, or just off of the street. So a lot of coincidences. So I totally enjoyed reading her book. I have read it, and plan to read all the books that you come out with, even if I'm not in them. But
oh, I need to put you in it. I thought they did.
I've been to Ireland 3 times, and somebody was saying about driving. I drove by myself in a stick shift car, which of course was on the other side of it, and 1,500 miles all by myself. And stopped in at bed and breakfast in the towns. Wonderful, wonderful time. Yeah. We had one of those Ulster project, 2 of them, a boy and a girl, that came to our house, and they stayed for the whole month of July. And we do activities with Protestants and Catholics, so they try to get a group of kids to realize that there's no difference, and religious differences don't really make a difference. So it's been a very successful, we're the longest running Ulster project in the country in Delaware. And we've had, I'd say 25, 30 years of it now.
That's great.
Yeah, wonderful. So, Kathleen.
People from Brandywine.
Oh, people who went to Brandywine. Anybody else go to Brandywine? Uh-huh. I don't think there's too many people from there. But it is. Talk about a coincidence, really. Have a good experience. And I do have all the food that I know you all provided. I brought some cookies that are overdone. But
I just think one was pretty good.
some people. And then there's a couple of things that I brought because of all the Irish things. When you're in Ireland, you have to buy, because everything is so nice. The clothing, oh, this is from Ireland. All kinds of things. It's hard to not put your pocketbook out there. But in addition to all the wonderful food and all the wonderful entertainment, it's a fantastic place to be. It's not all unsafe like
It's a lot of hitchhiking, and it's perfectly safe.
I'm going to have to leave a little bit early here, but I just want to thank all the people who were in the book that I've been able to meet tonight. And I really want to thank you for. I get it. For casting me, in the book. I was notorious Nell, which my grandchildren think is just not right for me. I said, I'm not notorious. I said, well, there's other.
Tell us why. Go there. If you haven't read the book,
Okay.
where's your prop?
Oh, I did bring my whip tonight. So I guess I am notorious after.
Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun.
You'll
Scared that you have
again,
one.
Now is dead, but you will rise again.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go off script for just a minute, and then work the cast, because we write this more like a screen. Okay, as I'm writing the book, and John he's gonna talk a little bit about how he got sucked into this. We try to think of it as seasons, okay? Different seasons as if you were watching something on Netflix. So, before I get into that, we've got a nice slideshow up here. If you haven't been to Ireland, culture is completely different. Nobody's in a hurry. Period.
Including the cats.
Yeah. Okay, an Irish roadblock, which you saw a few minutes ago, all those cows or sheep in the middle of the road, happens all the time. Okay, 75% of what you read in Shenanigans, and if you wanna buy a copy, if you don't have a copy, Ron's got them at the back of the shop. Just lost my whole train of thought. 75% of it's true, okay? I've repeated this before, but the farmers on the West Coast marry late in life. They take care of their mothers. They're wonderful boys. And and nobody can match the mother. What woman could possibly be as good as mom? So they're perfectly content. They don't even start looking. And the bride to be, if there's going to be a bride, really doesn't want to move into a home where there's already a queen. Why would she? So a lot of the men go seeking their bride when mom dies, which makes them most eligible. Okay, mom dies, time to go to Lisdoonvarna, crops are in, Irish finals are over, mom died, sorry, Bob, notorious now, because she's 6 feet under. But it's time to find a bride, and they take it very serious.
I know your mom well, bro.
They take it seriously, and they do have a matchmaker, okay? And you'll find out a little bit about that in the first Shenanigans and the second Shenanigans, how the matchmaker actually works. And they do get matches, it really does happen. John comes up with all kinds of great ideas. He'll be talking in a few minutes. I love his ideas. I'm the culture police. I'm like, oh, John, you cannot have Kiki going up to the bar. That doesn't happen in Ireland unless you're a crass American. Irish women do not go up to the bar and place an order. A man will go up and it will be delivered to the table. And if you haven't been to Ireland, you'd probably think of the stereotypical Irish drunk in the bar all the time, in the pub, but the pub is not a bar. It's a public house with a bar in the back corner. And the pubs are very, very popular because the houses are very small. So if you want to meet with your neighbors or entertain, they don't have front porches because it rains all the time. They don't have decks because it rains all the time. They go down to the closest pub, their pub. And the dogs and the children, okay, everybody goes to the pub. The men will go up to the bar and get drinks. And everybody sits there and has what we call a C-R-A-I-C, a crack, which means a good time. First time we went there, they didn't even have television. Okay, they didn't have the telly. They were voting as to whether or not they would let BBC in. And BBC, if you're in Ireland, that's not the best fit. So they discussed it in mass, and then they went to the pub to vote about it. Most of the big decisions happen either right after mass or in the pub where they have a public meeting. Culturally, it's just a slower, nicer pace, a little bit like Lord. What I'm gonna do now is have the people in the book, okay, first book, second book, future books, introduce themselves and let you all know how they got sucked into it. Maybe you might want to get sucked into one of the books also. Beth?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Hepler and I play Elizabeth, and it's just a coincidence that the name was the name. And I met Kathy, I'm a pharmacy tech at CVS, and I met her there. So she asked me if I would do it, and I'm like, sure, that sounds like a great time, so.
And who wouldn't want somebody so beautiful to be in the book?
Thank you.
Okay, Sue? We'll just go around, I want people popping up if you're in the book now.
Hi, my name is Sue Cercio. I've known Kathy since 7th grade when I moved to Wilmington. She was my first friend and still my best friend. So as long as we've known each other, we've been really close friends. Little did I know, however, that she did write me into the second book. So I am here. My character is Annie, who is the mother of Danny Kelly. So that's pretty much all I know right now, although I'm still alive. And
Your dad. Sorry, your dad.
well, you know, I mean, Nell died.
No, I'm sorry, he's getting married, so you have to be dead.
What?
You're alive in Danny Kelly's
Oh,
heart
right.
every day.
Sorry about that, sir.
But one thing kind of drew Kathy and I close together was that her family's Irish and she has a very family-oriented life. Her whole life revolves around her family and Terry. My dad loved Kathy forever, and when we met Terry, he really loved Terry, so that was really kind of nice. And Kathy has always said kind to my parents. My parents were Turkish. They're the only, they were the only people in their families that were in the States. So we were very tight-knit too. And I think that was a common thread for both of us. And I think it made us closer because we kind of understood each other and where we were. So anyway, it's been a real pleasure. I love her books. But anyway, so Kathy, keep writing.
Thank you, thank you. And we've got another book back there before we go to Bob, because Bob has an interesting story about how he got sucked in. Recruited is a better word. It all began in Dewey Beach. So if you're interested in a different type of book that focuses on this locality, it's back at the table too. Your story, Bob.
My name's Bob Bartley. I met Kathy and Terry just a couple months ago at a medical clinic actually. Kathy kind of asked me out of the blue if I'd be willing to portray Leonard. And at first I wasn't really sure about it. And so I thought about it for, I don't know, 6 hours or so. Yeah. And then later that day, after talking with a few people, I actually looked up the book on Amazon to make sure it was legitimate. It was. And so I thought, well, I've never done anything like this before, so this could be fun.
Yeah.
I'm Irish as well, and I've never been to Ireland, but I come from a long line of farmers, so portraying Leonard as a farmer in the book is probably not too far-fetched for me, so anyway, thank you, Kathy, for having me.
Thank you. And Leonard's in the white shirt, his Signia shirt, which in the book sets him apart from everybody else. And he was so polite, he didn't say that he was basically stopping my husband from bleeding out when I recruited him. You've gotta do what you gotta do. Candy.
Okay. Okay, my name is Candace Casey. I'm Kathy's sister. She recruited me for the book. First I was one carriage, and then I ended up being the nun. So I'm Sister Margaret Mary in the book. I was born in Fiona. Did I say it?
The North.
And one fine day, I was coming out of the rectory area, and I saw two cousins, Kiki and Kathaleen. And they said, "Oh, come sit with us a while." So we went over and sat on the wall, and I said, "I hear you're helping Danny boy find a wife." And they said, "Oh yes, we're trying." And they went through several episodes of what they've tried so far. So here comes Danny in a brand new red convertible. He pulls up and he says anything to try and get a bride. So I'm sitting on the wall, and Kiki was so excited she turned and bumped me into the river behind. And oh my God, the waist of my garments, I couldn't get my head up above the water. And Danny boy, he ran quickly across, dove into the water head first, and tried to save me. But now we were both drowning, because my garments weighed so much for both of us. So all of a sudden, Kathaleen runs in. And she's trying to save us now too. So the three of us are going under because of the currents. Well, here comes Father Terrence, walking along out the rectory, seeing what happened, and he grabs an old branch from a long tree, and he puts the branch into the water. First I got out, got a boy, and then Kathaleen was able to get out of her own because she was familiar with the cabin, the currents in Bethany Beach. So Daddy was so wonderful, he just jumped out and ran right into the river. However, he had this brand new red. He didn't turn it off because he was so upset we were drowning. Oh, it was horrific. So we get out and we look and the car had gone down the hill. His brand new car. And hit a tree, I believe. No, it was a wall. I believe it was a wall he hit. But oh, Daddy, boy, he's so wonderful. He tried to save my poor soul from drowning. And now I will introduce to you our famous Daddy boy.
Come up.
That's the-
Thank you very much. Boy, she should be in theater. That was
Then
excellent.
Denise and Justin, and then you, because I know you're gonna need some time.
Yeah, everybody needs me.
Okay,
That was
Denise,
great.
okay.
Well, I'm Denise, and I'm Sophie in the book. And I first met Kathy 20-some years ago when I moved to Bethany and I started out in real estate. And she was one of my first calls that I had to help her father, who had the Lynn Lake Trailer Park, find a house. So we found him a house at the Point Farm. So that's how we first met. And then we would bump into each other or talk, and now I live 6 houses from her. And she asked me if I would be Sophie, so I agreed. And I am apparently rich in the book, so I'm going to see what that's like. I was supposed to be rich because I was pretty, but that didn't work out. So, and I guess I'm a bitch. I'm a rich bitch.
You're a rich bitch.
Yes.
And I had a nice chat yesterday with Chief McLaughlin, and he is making arrangements with me to have her arrested for a photo op for the book. So she knows it. I'm so thrilled to have them involved. Justin.
Hello, my name's Justin. I actually live in the same neighborhood with John. So in social media, I would see, you know, the story and how it was on the cover and everything, and just watching it. So it's Super Bowl Sunday. My wife and I are at the bar. We posted a picture of herself. And John wrote something on there, and I didn't know anything about, I didn't know Kathaleen or anybody, so I said, you know, I'm trying out for Shenanigans too. I had no idea, you know, there's a book being written. Next thing, he started to text me during the game. You gotta be in the book. This lady wants you in this book. This lady needs your face. Send me screenshots. About 2 seconds later, Kathleen's like, text me. I hope you don't mind. I like your face. I want you in this face, in this book. Your name's Donovan. You have a niece, Magellan. Your sister's, or your sister is Madeline. Helena. So I'm just learning the book. So I just said to my wife, you know, the modeling career is coming true.
And my husband Terry is here. He had no choice. Okay, he's in the book. And if you get the book, there's a bonus story. Stand up for a minute, Terry. Terry, hold on. Maybe you stand up. There's a bonus story about how he met his family and they kept him. And it was part of the Ulster Project that led us to his family. Long story, I won't go into the long story short, it's the bonus story in the back of the book. And now, Danny, are you ready to tell how you
Yes,
got
I'm writing my last note. We did all the characters. I didn't want to go. All right, Kathleen, I'm a podium guy, so I'm not gonna have everybody turn around.
Go ahead.
And I will keep it brief.
Oh, Joe. Make the long story
And the first thing
short.
I said, when I'm not a very good public speaker, because I've always fumbled my words. That's, in a funeral, no way. I can't do it. I don't know how people do it, but I'm gonna start off with whatever happened to John Clark. Because that is the truth. Things have changed for me. I mean, like, I still have my everyday life, but now I go into the grocery store, that's the guy. That's the guy. So that's one of the things. It's changed a lot for me anyway, and it's been a lot of fun. And don't be shy, but who hasn't read the book in its entirety? Please feel free. I mean, if you haven't read it in its entirety, that's fine. My wife is only halfway through it, so and she couldn't be here tonight. And it's also Logan, who plays my father, or is the character of my father. He thought this was a new arc and couldn't make it. And my mother plays Aunt Jerry Lou. She just went through a terrible leg surgery. They actually fractured her leg during the hip replacement, so she's gone for a while. But we all got here in different ways. Like Justin was saying, how he got in. I reeled him in like a fish on a hook. But we all got here in different ways. My way was kind of different. If I get the story right, Kathaleen had the first chapter of this book written way before she met me. Am I correct? She was about ready to give up on this book and this whole idea. So my wife and I are out on the beach. It's girls' weekend with the wife, but I got invited down because I got the keys to the truck that drives on the beach, and I got the boat. So I'm around. Half into the day, the friends texted and said, hey, we're going to meet over at the Tiki Bar, Indian River, and watch the Lowercase Blues Band. Are you in? So we packed up everything, went right over there. Well, sure enough, I get there. There's 8 females at the table. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be the only rooster in this hen house. So I started mingling around, talking. 45 minutes into it or so, my wife reminded me, Mister, you're driving, let's get out. I said, okay. On my exit, Kathleen approached me and she asked me, she goes, can I bother you for a minute? And she introduced herself and as an author. She goes, and I write books. And she goes, you're my Danny Kelly. I'm like, all right, I'll play along. And she had her granddaughter with her, and I looked at her and said, she's probably 19, 20, I guess maybe. I was like, is she for real? She goes, yeah, that's my grandma. So I was like, all right. So we exchanged numbers, and she took a photo of me. Of course, my wife's back there wondering, what in the world is this woman taking a picture of my husband for? So I told her, we go back to my place. And of course, we had more of a crack. An Irish crack on my porch, a few beers, and we're texting back and forth. She said, read the draft. Make sure you're comfortable with it, and let me know. So then I read it, not really. I read a little bit of it, and I said, sure, what do I got to lose? So that was my first night. Then it was the photo shoot, and that was kind of cool. We did that with Terry along with us. And then she asked for more. She invited us, my wife and I, to her house, and I read the draft. And she goes, now that you've read the draft, you're Danny Kelly, you're in character. What do you think should happen to him next? I was like, oh boy, I don't know. I'm a pipe fitter plumber. I don't do these things. I was a CD student. So lo and behold, it wasn't weeks later, I'm waking up, thank you very much. I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I break out my laptop and I just started writing stuff. I sent it to her, she loved it. That's that part of the story. Now I'm a collaborator. I got maybe a few paragraphs in. But one of the coolest things was meeting Kathleen's family, meeting her son, James, daughter-in-law, Lindsay, and her husband, Terry. That was kind of cool. I felt like part of the family the first meeting, so as my wife did. So now I have an extension of my family. Book signings came after that. Book signings, and the coolest thing was I did one, I think I spoke earlier, I did one last week for a drug addiction fundraiser. We didn't know. I took 6 books. She had a couple books also of The Bachelorette at Dewey Beach. We combined those two. I sold those books inside of 40 minutes for more than what you pay on Amazon. No problem. So that was kind of pretty cool. That's when I was talking about a monetary thing. It wasn't about the money. It's getting the book out there. So as the characters that are in this room, the way this book's going to go forward is self-promotion. You Bob at work and people at work. It's kind of cool to say, hey, look, that's me in the book. That is pretty cool. And it's very humbling, but you get used to it. I couldn't have done this 7 weeks ago either. So, that being said, we all got it in different ways, and we got into this book, and probably been one of the coolest experiences of my life after retirement, because some people look at you in a different way. And when you're in the book, the one thing I did want to say before I forget is, Kathaleen and I have been putting this together. She is the person. I come up with these ideas and I write it, and sometimes it looks like a third grader did it, and then she adds the fluff. But for the characters in the room, if you get into your character and you say, oh God, I think he should do this, or I think she should do that, please let us know, because this is still wide open. We need 50 more pages. So, that being said, I'm going to close. I don't want to be too long, but I did want to let everybody know that after this event, my mouth is dry. I'm going to want to go to Hawker's. Is going to be open until 9 o'clock. It's at Gerald Hawker's Family Restaurant. I'm going to go there and get a beverage, share a cocktail with people if you want to come back and join after this. I don't know how much time we'll have, but maybe enough time for one beverage. And that's probably enough. And I thank you for your time. Unless anybody had any questions for me, I'm good. Thank you, Kathaleen.
Thank you. It really was the luck of the Irish, July 13th, 2025, that I found Danny Kelly. Okay, because it's been just rolling ever since. He's got the personality to make things happen that I don't have. So it's a good combination. I love sitting there, and where's Dawn? Thank you for Dawn?
Marcia?
Marcia. Thank you, Marcia, for putting this slideshow together. These are all scenes that my husband and I took while we were in the North, every single one. There are a few down in Dingle and Trelane, but most of them are the walk you're going to walk when you read the book. And I really hope that Ireland steps up as a character in the book, because after reading it, people tell me they feel like they've been there. This is the quiet valley lawn. This is the turf that you smell when your plane lands. It smells like incense. This is what keeps the homes warm. I'll just narrate a few of these, and then we're going to do some writing exercises if you want. Shenanigans, whatever did happen to Danny? Too bad no Doria Snellis left. She'd have a story to tell. This may be one of the most beautiful little beaches in Ireland. Right there is as close as you're ever going to get to America from that shore. Okay, it's the closest thing in Europe. The colors, of course they use bright colors because the weather's so gray. That's a roadblock. That's a roadblock. There's a scene in the book where Danny gets a face full of cow feces because the cows go around the car and his window's down. Yeah, it did happen. Okay, most of the anecdotes from the book really did happen. Unfortunate for my son James, it happened to him. The strand where the dead guy's gonna wash up in the second book, right here. Narrow roads, there was a picture earlier of my daughter-in-law straddling a road. We talk about James because he's here all the time, checking on us. I have two other children, Katie and Sean. James has just become a good friend of Danny's. If I say John to James, then I have to say Danny. So it clicks. This is the famous O'Donoghue's pub, the only pub in a 30-kilometer range between Doolin and Ballywan. Cliffs of Moher, who's been there? The burn is the only gray spot in all of Ireland, everything else is green. When you're at the burn, you're right across from the 3 Aran Islands, and it's just a short little boat ride out to Inisheer, the smallest island. If you ever get there, go out to Inisheer. It's just breathtaking. There's my daughter and my husband's cousin. That's the cemetery in Fenor, and they take care of it themselves. They don't have people going in and doing the mowing and everything. Families go in and do the whitewashing and arranging things. John, you went out to the island, didn't you?
Yeah, went to Inisheer and then went to Inishmore.
Yeah. A few years ago, my bonus son, John, by another mother, who still is a mother and a friend of mine, but she likes to share. And I'm very greedy with him. He and his girlfriend went to Ireland with Terry and I. And so he's very familiar with all of this. That having been said, is there anything else interesting coming up? Narrow roads.
And you're driving on the other side.
Donna, there's a picture of the church I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Okay, very, very small. It's gotta be a couple thousand years old. And it's so small, it would be 1/4 of this room at the most. And no stone has ever come out. It's like an inverted boat. It's amazing. In that same area, they have tiny little igloos made of stone, where the monks would stay. Okay, each tiny little igloo would be big enough for 1 monk. And they treat this like we treat a fence post in our yard. They don't realize they can exploit it and charge money to have you go take your picture with it, or to sell souvenirs. They're not there yet, okay? It's just 4,000 years old, some of the things that you see when you're there. This is a great story. This is Doll. She was the patroness of Doll O'Connor's pub, 3 pubs in Doolin, which is the folk music capital of all of Ireland. And my husband's cousin Mike, New York Mike, went down to have a drink. And
That's Mike there.
yeah, that's Mike right there, okay? So we're down there, we go down with Mike to have a drink, and Doll says, I think I know ye. And Mike's like, I know ye, I know ye. And they get talking, okay, true story. He turns to us, he said, I came down to have a drink, and I stayed for a week. Okay, she puts them upstairs, they have beds upstairs for people that they don't want driving. Well, during this time, if you've ever seen The Quiet Man, I would go to my grave saying they stole this scene from Doll O'Connor's pub. The big brawl, okay, big brawl breaks out in The Quiet Man. It broke out first in Doll O'Connor's pub. And they're fighting, and she's yelling, and everybody's placing bets. And she's out of here. You need to get out of here. She's pushing them out the door. Take it outside. So the 2 guys that started it go outside. Everybody's placing bets. Doll's taking the money. One of them runs in and says, here, Doll, hold my teeth. And she puts them in a glass of beer, okay? They do get out for about 45 minutes, come in, arms around each other, and collect the teeth. So end of that brawl. This is a church that you're gonna be familiar with in Shenanigans if and when you read it. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody wanna play a few writing games to see if you have a secret writer inside of you? Anybody raise your hand if you do? I'm gonna make it different than what we did earlier. Nobody? Seriously? Wow, too bad, you're going to. Everybody has a writer in them. And the best way to write is to get out of the box and try to think creatively. And what I learned from Chief McLaughlin yesterday, he is a big advocate of Ward Baltimore School. And he's really upset that so many of the kids are deficient in reading. And when I sit down with the kids, I was with a 12-year-old 2 weeks ago, I asked her a simple question, and she was afraid to answer it. She was, "You're a failure." Okay, there's no wrong answers, and we have to give kids permission to get outside of the box, and adults too. The best way to write is to use your senses, all 5 senses. So I'm gonna start with this picture and tell you where it went, and then I'm gonna pass some pictures around and ask you to work with 2 or 3 people and do what we're gonna do here. So I cut out a bunch of black and white pictures to use in my classes. You can use them at any age. I taught 5th grade through college. Okay? So the first thing you say, let's do your 5 senses. What do you smell?
Maybe hay.
Okay. What else?
Stimson.
Horse. Anything else?
Tobacco smoke.
Tobacco smoke. Okay, and we could keep going. Dust. Okay, what might you taste?
Dust.
Dust. He said tobacco smoke, maybe snuff. Okay, think of what this guy is tasting, if there's any taste at all. So maybe the whiskey you just had in the bar. What can you feel? What can he feel around him or on him?
Horse manure. Shit.
Oh, God.
He looks tense to me.
He's tense, but what substance can he feel? Sweat? You can smell sweat too, so that goes a lot of ways. Does he have any stubble? How about leather? Okay, what is he hearing?
Cows.
Cow?
Cattle.
Cattle? Horse? How about the guys fighting in the saloon? So keep thinking about it, think about all the senses, make some notes, and now give them a name. He's not gonna be alive until you give him a name.
How about Wayne?
What is it?
Wayne.
Wayne.
I think,
Okay, Wayne. Okay, and like I said, I've done this with all age groups. The favorite response I got was from a 7-year-old, one of my granddaughters, who went right through all the senses. She named him Tex, which is not that creative, but he's Tex to her. Now the final question to her was, okay, so tell me something about this tough guy that might surprise me. She didn't hesitate. He has a rose garden. Okay, and then in there I am like, pardon the French, damn, that's the book. I could write a whole book now about this guy who has a rose garden. So if you're game to get 2 or 3 people and try it yourself, you just pass some of these out.
Okay.
Pretend you don't know who she is.
We're supposed to run through all the,
I'm trying.
so what was the first question? What are they,
Senses. So what are they?
fun?
Yeah, what can they taste?
Taste, that's what it is.
Cheap
Smell.
perfume and gin.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's really good.
Cheap perfume and gin.
There you go.
Smooth moves.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she was
And they're holding each other's hands, or he's holding hers, so that's what he feels. He's feeling anticipation.
There you go.
She's like, you're fun, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi. Hello. Kathy, thank you so much. My husband's in the hospital, so I have to split. Nurses keep calling me. Kathy's book is amazing. It made me laugh hysterically at a time when I needed it most. And she's helping me promote my book. It's called Conversations with Vera. I'm simply going to read the preface to you so that you have a better idea. It is a horse of an entirely different color. It's a serious memoir about my mother's life. For many years, Vera kept silent. Proof of life documentation for her entire family was deliberately destroyed by the Soviets, which effectively erased 4 generations of her family in less than 1 year. From a very young age, Vera saw considerable suffering that others had to endure, and she could not forget the tragedies she herself had to overcome. She decided to break her silence. Vera wanted her life and her truth to be told and somehow get it documented. Vera recognized that she had survivor's guilt, but it became increasingly important to her that the world would know that her loved ones in Ukraine truly existed, how fulfilling their lives once were, and then how terribly they all perished simply because they were Ukrainian. Vera felt that by telling her story to others, it would help to end the silence that the guilty expected. Vera was interviewed by her daughter, me, on many occasions in the 1990s. Those conversations were tape recorded, and many others were written down in a notebook entitled Conversations with Mama. All the conversations with Vera were transcribed and translated from that notebook into this book. Thank you very much for listening. I should have brought more copies. I'm not paying attention to anything.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, so thank you very much for listening. Shenanigans is a freaking riot. You gotta get it. Thank you. Good night, thank you.
Okay, so we'll do this character, and then we're going to do, like, somebody's going to be the spokesperson.
All right.
Well, that's Edna and
Okay.
and Edna and Otis.
Okay.
Otis,
Oh, yes,
yes.
Edna and Otis, okay.
Otis is a player.
Yeah, he's a player, right. And she's really shy, and like she smells of the cheap perfume, and he's just got gin all over him.
There you go.
And she looks like a schoolgirl. That
She
looks
does,
like
that's
a
an itchy wool skirt.
itchy wool skirt. And she's like, "What are you doing?" Okay. Oops, sorry. Yes, yes. I might learn how to dance from this guy.
Yeah, that's right. And I do have to go because I've got to get up early to go. But this has been really fun. Thank you.
It was, yeah.
Marsha.
Thank you for coming and being part of this.